right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, and not alone this week, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. Great to see you, my friend. Welcome back.
Likewise.
How was the
Yes.
vacation time?
Very restful, exciting. At sea, I did not get lost, thank God, because I cannot swim to save my life. So
Well,
I'm
we're
here.
glad
I've
you
survived.
made it back to shore. I'm sure folks are tired of seeing me, so glad to have you back. And
you held it down.
Sorry you missed Backlash from Leon France, which was
Yeah, I
very,
watched it. It was
very
phenomenal.
cool.
I would
Yeah,
say,
it was really
I will just go on record by saying that this was probably the most hype crowd I've seen for a WWE Premium
Oh,
Live event
yeah.
ever. I love
was
it.
Super, it was super
Yeah.
enjoyable. They actually, not everyone thought it was, because I was talking to some folks and they were like, "Oh, the crowd got annoying," and I was like, "Not for me. I thought it was
They were just-
dope. I
yeah.
thought it was the coolest thing."
Well, they need to understand too that these wrestlers feed off of the crowd, and just all of that, just that excitement, and the Jey Uso's entrance was amazing, and just I think it just elevated every single match. It made every single match feel that much bigger than what it was. Right? You only had one title change, if I'm not mistaken, but again.
Yeah,
it
just
made
the
the world
tag
of
titles for the
difference,
women.
and it's carrying over to Raw and SmackDown, which I love because now it kind of set the standard. So now we got to kind of keep the momentum going. So great show.
Yeah, it was a great crowd, great show, lots of good energy, especially with Backlash, because Backlash is always kind of an afterthought right
Yeah.
after WrestleMania.
It's like a,
so I thought
you
it
had
added a
matches.
lot to it. So yeah, so I'm like, it definitely added to the experience for me. But post Backlash, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, as we are apparently now ramping up full speed into the King and Queen of the Ring.
All the way.
But we'll start there, Big D. What happened on Raw? A
Yeah.
lot of wrestling.
A lot of wrestling. So first of all, we had Damian Priest come out and surprisingly apologize to Finn Balor and JD McDonough for getting mad at them
Yeah.
for the interference. However, he didn't apologize for getting mad at them for jumping Jey Uso after the match. So curious to see how that plays in. I don't know if his pride's going to get the better of him, and that's going to cause like a split in the faction. It seems like, just a side note, it seems like Dom is trying to, he's like a puppy trying to find a new owner now that Rhea's gone, and just bringing in random, he brought Carlito around like, hey, huh? And they're like, dude, stop bringing in strays. Like, they even made the joke, like, stop bringing in strays. So, who knows? We'll see what becomes of that. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, that's it. It's interesting because it felt like they were really steering into Damian Priest doing a face turn, and then they kind of just got rid of that immediately. It was like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. He was in full heel mode here.
Yeah, he was.
When he cut his promo. I think, and that was the other thing too, is Dom bringing in Carlito, and Carlito's history with Damian Priest, and I'm like, are they going to try to have Carlito come in and disrupt and replace Damian Priest and do the face turn? Like, I don't know where they're going with that.
I don't
It'd
either.
be weird if they just abandoned the face turn at this point, because it's gonna
Yeah, I
happen
think.
at some
Yeah, I
point.
think it has to happen. I don't know how or which way, but it'll be good to see. Damien's a great talent. I'm happy that he's the champion. I think he's going to do well with the title. I'm not sure it'll be a very lengthy run. I hope it's a good length of a run, but I don't know if it'll be to the extent of like the prior champions, right? But I think it'll be a good one, and I'm curious to see where they go with this potential face turn. But going straight into that, you had Finn Balor already celebrating because he was supposed to go up against Drew, who ironically got injured and couldn't perform. It wasn't medically cleared to perform that night, but then was just replaced by Jey Uso. So kind of Jey being that ghost that's going to continue to haunt them. And again, they put on a pretty good match. I mean, Finn Balor's a great in ring worker, as is Jey. I'm happy to see Jey finally stepping into that main event Jey Uso spotlight. I feel like he was kind of hindered down a little bit when CM Punk came back. I was vocal about that, but I was very happy to see him. I'm loving this main event Jey Uso, and just the resiliency in him. He was able to get rid of the extra nonsense and get a victory here and move on. It was a King of the Ring tournament match, so he was able to proceed. So that's going to be good. But again, it was Jey Uso just even with Drew McIntyre showing up to distract him, that still didn't, help him lose or anything like that. So I thought that was great. But it was kind of cartoony after that, where like Drew McIntyre gets all mad, gets in the luxury car, and just takes off because he's mad because CM Punk isn't there. And as he's leaving, CM Punk pulls up in the Camaro. Was it a Camaro or Mustang?
Yeah.
It was a Mustang.
It was a Z28 Camaro.
Z28. Yeah,
So,
I knew it was a Camaro.
and I remember
Yeah.
because the Drew left in the it was the Chevy. It was the Corvette.
Yeah,
So Drew
the
left in the
Z06.
Chevy Corvette, and then the Chevy Z28 came up behind him afterwards. So it was like
Right.
old school versus new school and all that. So it's like they're
Yeah.
kind of playing things with it,
Yeah.
thematically. And then it was the long tracking shot after that too, where it was like he walks in and it's like following him along, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Adam,
I
I'm
love
going
those
out to the
shots.
rink," and they hit
Yeah.
the music, and they does it. So that was like artistic. It was a cool shot because it was a long
Yeah.
track. You hear them hit the music, you hear the crowd chanting, and then
Yeah.
goes up through Gorilla and out through the front. So they continued to do that. That was fun. That
I
was
love
cool.
that. I do. I love that, and I like the trash talking on CM Punk's part. Obviously, saying that he's gonna be there longer than Drew McIntyre's title reign, which was funny. Asked everyone to tweet Drew, which I'm curious to see the impact of those tweets. I should have actually pulled
Yeah,
that up.
that was
because that would have been interesting to see if they really did like blow him up, and that would have been cool to see happen. And yeah, it was fun. It was a fun little bit. It didn't overstay, thank God. I know CM Punk's promos tend to draw on sometimes, but I feel it was a good length. It was good enough to talk trash, but not too much, and just kind of again just set this, lay the seeds there. I think we're gonna see them face each other at King and Queen of the Ring. I think that's why Drew wasn't medically cleared, but we'll see. But yeah, a lot happened in that little short period of time. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, and so it's interesting because I'll go to the Drew injury, which I'm like, okay, I haven't had a chance to look. I'm like, if it's a real injury or not, or if this is kayfabe doing its thing to kind of set something up, because we had 3 instances of this. We had, by the way, Drew's on the schedule, but now he's not because like day of, and it was like a last minute change. They did the same thing with Asuka. Like Asuka's not medically cleared, so Dakota Kai took her spot, and then
SmackDown too.
Yeah, and then on SmackDown it was Bobby Lashley. He's injured, not medically cleared, and I'm like, why are you guys taking this strategy? Like why wouldn't you just say the tournament hasn't started yet? Like, we already subbed these people out. I feel like they're trying to explain why these people are not participating in King of the and Queen of the Ring versus just not
It's
scheduling
because it's
them.
in Saudi Arabia. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I know, it's like, I know that's really the reason why. But it's like, so-and-so's hurt, can't do it. And it's like, just don't put them on the schedule. Don't try to write them out of it. It's like, just you should have scheduled someone else. Having Angelo Dawkins take his place also felt like an odd choice
Yeah, we can talk
for
about
Bobby
that.
Lashley. Yeah, it's like, why did Montez Ford take his spot? But whatever. So I wasn't thrilled about that. CM Punk segment, I'm not a huge fan of CM Punk, but this had the right amount of breathing room and time on a show that was not promo heavy at all. Because
Yeah, it
they were
wasn't.
doing the gauntlet. So this was a nice little palate cleanser. And then you get right back into all the wrestling, which I loved. I was happy with the fact that we got a lot of wrestling on a wrestling show.
Me too. I agree. And I mean, shortly after that, Io Sky took on Natalia for a Queen of the Ring tournament match. No surprise, Io Sky took the win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel Natalia's reached that point in her career where I don't know where they're going to put her. I've been seeing her on NXT as a heel, which I kind of like because it's a good way to coach up the younger talent. So I love that she's doing that work for the business, and I love it. So that's awesome of her. But yeah, Io Sky takes the win. Nothing really crazy about the match really stood out to me. But again, Natalia's a great in-ring worker. I mean, her grandfather Stu Hart, amazing trainer and Hart Dungeon and all that good stuff. But she they put on a good match. Io Sky's a great wrestler too, so them two together, you knew it was going to be an entertaining match. Wasn't very long, but yeah, it was good.
Wasn't very long. Yeah. Well, and this is also too where I agree with that and what are they doing with her? And it was also in the lead up to like, I dedicate this match to the greatest King of the Ring ever, Owen Hart. I'm like, and then she loses, and it's like, okay, if you're gonna do this whole I'm dedicating this to Owen Hart's memory, please don't have her lose, or just don't have her say it. But it is an odd spot that she's in because she's kind of become a gatekeeper, journeyman. She helps get the other talent over at this point, and she's still good. It was a good match. It was just
she's still good. But she's not.
They had to run through a lot of things tonight, so it was like some of it felt by the book. Like you knew she wasn't gonna win,
right? And that's okay. I mean, Natalia. I feel Natalia can get over in any position, so I'm good with it. After that was what I felt was my match of the night. Ilya
Agreed.
Dragunov against Ricochet. God, man, banger of a match. That was awesome. Both men, holy cow, both men are great in the ring, and they just fed off of each other's energy so well. And
Yeah.
the I think what was it the torpedo Moscow countered into a recoil.
Yeah, that was cool.
Amazing. That was so cool. And then just the H bomb combination, that H bomb that he drops is vicious. Like it's a
Yeah.
vicious move. It doesn't look like much, but it's a very vicious move, and I like it for a finisher. It's like a death blow, right? Like it's like what it should be. It's like a knockout punch kind of, but it's a forearm,
Yeah.
but just a dead weight drop onto his opponent, which is insane. But I think both men made each other look great. Show of respect after the match between the two, which that was a nice sign, was a nice, a nice touch, because they both aren't really heel or face. I mean, well, Ricochet's a face, but Ilya isn't really either or right now. So I know he can
Yeah.
go either way. Personally, I prefer him as a heel, but that's just me. I'm a heel by nature, but it's all good.
That's because
It's
it's also because he's Russian, so you can't see it.
typically
You
that's
can't
old
see
school
it.
booking. The foreigner is
Yeah,
the
I
heel.
mean,
Yeah,
he can't be good. He's from Russia.
but
Come on now.
he's so cool though. I love his move sets and I love the way he works. Yeah, match of the night for me.
Yeah, same here. I thought match of the night. This one was a ton of fun, and then everything afterwards just felt like it was downhill. So it was kind of a bummer where it sat on the card because
Yeah.
afterwards I was like, nothing really lived up to it.
No,
But it
and
was really great.
and I think a lot was because of the match that followed. Right, it was Zoe Stark and Ivy. Now, not to talk down about any of them.
But
That's probably
yeah,
I probably wouldn't have put them to follow
flat.
that. You know what I mean? Like I
Well,
really wouldn't have. They probably should have.
But it's also like it's tough act. It was always going to be a tough act to follow because this
it
was
is.
really great. So
Oh, because,
anybody
yeah.
was going to look bad.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. But Zoe Stark got the win, so she gets
Yeah.
to move on. Kind of sad they're not really pushing Ivy Nile too much. I think they don't know what to do with her, honestly. And that's a shame because she is really, really good in the ring. She's very technically sound. And I think she's a great wrestler. So hopefully they figure out what to do with her. But yeah, I mean, you saw Zoe Stark pick up the win there, move on in the Queen of the Ring tournament. But you're right.
Yeah, and
Unfortunately,
that was pretty formulaic.
Yeah.
It was just one of those. This is where it got a little too by the book for me. Like Ilya Dragunov beating Ricochet and advancing felt somewhat like a surprise, just because I'm like
Right.
Ricochet's really good and he's just being the speed champion. So that one was cool. Every other match, like when I saw Ivy Nile and Zoe Stark, I'm like Zoe Stark's probably winning this. As I went down through the rest of the card, it was very predictable, including it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Until you got to the main event, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton on SmackDown, it was like, okay, who's going to win in advance in that one? Everyone else you could call who the winner
Yeah.
was going to be
Oh,
pretty
definitely.
easily. So there
Yeah.
was some level of going through the motions.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of, you could call it, see it coming a mile away. You had Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
You knew Sammy was going to interfere, and what's going to happen? We're going to have a triple threat for the
I
Intercontinental
hate
title.
this so much.
I'm not a fan
Go
of
ahead.
it. I feel like they should I should say they because it's creative, I get it. But they should let Chad or Bronson Reed come up above and be one of the ones to compete. I feel they can't decide. And that's why you just throw. I think it's just lazy to just throw the three. It's going to be a good match because even Bronson Reed, as big as he is, I'm a fan of the big guys. I'm a big guy myself, right? But I would love to see Bronson Reed and Sami Zayn one-on-one with no interference,
Yeah.
But, it's not going to happen. We're going to have Chad Gable with Bronson Reed and Sami Zayn, which means they can protect anybody at this point. And I always feel that there should always be winners and losers, right? There shouldn't be like, oh, well, I never got pinned. No, like, let's have it, called down the middle, and that's what it is. But unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. Sami Zayn showing a new aggression. My only fear is that this gets the better of him, and it ends up costing him at the end. So I don't know what to expect out of that.
I don't know. Well, and this is so. There's a couple of bummers here for me. The first one, this was a short match too. Like it,
Yeah,
ended,
very
it
short.
ended in a no contest pretty quickly because they were also like stretched for time trying to
Yeah,
pack all
they
these
still had
matches
two more
in.
matches after that.
Yeah, and they were like, "Hey, let's hurry up and finish this one." But Sammy came out and interfered, and it was a no contest. So it's like, which I am hating recently. They do this a lot. Match ends in a no contest because somebody interferes from the outside, and then due to that, it's now a triple threat match. So at I almost said Ground Jewel. At King
Might
and
as
Queen of the
well be.
Ring, might as well be. At King and Queen of the Ring, you've got this triple threat match, which is the cop out thing that they're doing all the time. It's like just stop going for the easy thing and saying it's a triple threat match now, and all three are going to face off, because that happens like once at every PLE now. Is they can't decide who number one contender.
We just had that for the women's title with Bayley.
Just had that for the women's title, and we just had that for U.S. Championship with Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. So we just did that 2 other times, the 3rd time in a row that we're doing that. So
It's
going to the well, right?
Lazy.
It looks very lazy, and it doesn't just look lazy, Big D. It is lazy. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But
after that, we had Becky Lynch come out to banter with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan came out and was like, "Why don't you just accept it's me?" I'm not a fan of the "woe is me, why don't you give me credit" kind of thing that they put on Liv Morgan. It comes across just a tad bit whiny, in my opinion, my personal taste and preference. I feel that she should just own, like, be the underdog and be like, all right, well, you clearly don't see me, I'm going to show you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a different way around it, but what do I know? Again, they, got into it, and then that brought out Damage Control, which, of course, brought out Ira Valkyria. I have a hard time saying her last name. Sorry, Valkyria.
Valkyria, I think.
Yeah,
I heard
Ira Valkyria. Yeah. So I guess she helped her out, kind of showed a nod of respect, because they're both, Irish, and they, she admired Becky Lynch and all that good stuff. So good. Morgan, it was funny because Liv Morgan kind of sets her up and leaves and all that good stuff. That nothing really of importance there, just more taunting.
Well, but she gave her a title shot, right?
She did. She got what she wanted.
She got what she wanted, and so this is where I go, okay, if you were going to have Liv Morgan come out and call out Becky Lynch and get a title shot at King and Queen of the Ring, why didn't you just have Liv Morgan win in the Battle Royale? Like, if the whole thing was she's not ready, it's like, what, she's going to be ready in 3 weeks? So
two.
There were 2. Well, now 2. I was like, at the time, I'm like, so it's like 3 to 4 weeks. You're saying not now. This just happened with Rhea Ripley. It's too soon. It's too soon.
Which, well, then I said from the beginning,
you're now going to have her go against Becky Lynch.
Yeah, you should have had her win.
Is she going to lose to Becky Lynch? Because that's worse, because she keeps losing all the time.
Yeah,
so you keep having her be a runner-up, and then you're going to have her lose again. Then you can't keep going back to the well and saying, well, Liv Morgan gets another shot. Well, she keeps losing. You're not going to keep giving her shots. I don't just commit to something. Either you're going to put the title on Liv or you're not. But don't keep having her go out there and lose. But move on. Yeah. That's why I was like, so I don't like this one either.
Or if you're not going to give it up at a premium live event like that over there in Saudi, fine. Then maybe put her in a number 1 contenders match that she can win.
Yeah.
And start racking up some wins. You know what I mean? I don't get why they I've never gotten why they didn't just let her win the Battle Royal. That probably would have been, in my opinion, that would have been the best way to let her, because there's several ways to protect some of your top talent that way, right? Battle Royals are an easy way to protect talent. And she could have easily won by, like, maybe she tripped Becky at the end, or I don't know, right? Like, she's done it before. And let it happen. Now you're going to wait and push it out again. Who knows what's going to happen here. But clearly it did nothing for Damage Control, because Ira Valkyria, defeated Dakota Kai, who was subbing in for Asuka, who couldn't compete all of a sudden. So, that was moving her on, which is good. I love seeing the NXT talent. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love seeing the younger talent come up. That makes me happy, because we're not going to have the same go-around that we're having right now, with titles going to the same people over and over and over and over again. Becky was supposed to be gone for a while because she was going to rest up with Seth, and now she's not, because Rhea got hurt, and I guess they don't trust anybody else, which is a bummer, and I think it's a slap in the face to the other women who've been busting their asses to get where they're at. Yeah. But I mean, I like seeing the younger talent go over, like Ilya Dragunov and Ira Valkyria. I love seeing it, because now that gives them the opportunity to shine. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But
hopefully so.
Second, this last match, the main event time. Moving on from that, I don't know if you want to add to that. Sorry, Mike. I didn't know.
I mean, this one it was also, you knew Dakota Kai wasn't going to advance. Like this felt very formulaic. Crowd was a little flat for this one too.
It was
like it was just nobody was really into it. It was okay. It was what it was. You kind of knew Valkyria was going to advance, and Dakota Kai obviously wouldn't. So this just felt like an afterthought to me. But
it did. But what
GMS.
didn't was Gunther versus Sheamus for a King of the Ring tournament,
Yeah.
which was a runner-up in my book for match of the night, just because of how physical and hard-hitting this match. And we knew going in, they've already had,
Yeah.
like just beat downs, and this did not disappoint. I feel this was a good run, close runner-up for match of the night. It was awesome to see Gunther. Obviously, Gunther takes the victory over Sheamus, but made Sheamus submit. I think it was the knee injury with the single leg Boston Crab that was heavily played on, and I think was a great way to end the match in a submission rather than taking the pinfall. You could tell it took a while to get him to submit. He really had to crank that knee back, but I really enjoyed the match. It was very hard hitting, just like I said. Gunther and Sheamus work so well together because of how physical and aggressive each of them are. So they just complemented each other so well.
Yeah, I agree. Like this one was really good. Obviously, it was pretty. Sheamus looked pretty chopped up at the end, but also because he kind of wears damage because of his complexion, so he wears the damage pretty well, and it looks good. It makes for good optic, but they really poured themselves into it. It was just from a visual standpoint, I thought it was great. Definitely runner up for match of the night because a lot of the other matches pretty formulaic, and this one you kind of knew Gunther was going to win too. Yeah, like it would have been odd. Even though I was hoping to see the Burger King, the Burger King of the Ring thing. I knew it probably wasn't going to be in the cards, but it makes sense. I do feel like Gunther will be the eventual winner of the tournament.
I agree.
And that's why he got showcased in the main event.
Yeah, so, that's my prediction for the King of the Ring. I think Gunther's going to win it, and I would love to see it. I would love to see Gunther as King of the Ring, just the way he carries himself as the ring general, and then to add that moniker of King of the Ring. I think I could see Ludwig Kaiser just snooting around, introducing him as the King of the Ring. I would love to see that, and I hope that's what happens. I really do. That would be so cool to see.
And it feels like the next logical progression because he had the long Intercontinental title reign, longest ever, and now it's like, okay, they're trying to gear him up to put him into main event, world title picture. And I think this makes the most sense to do it because it sounds like they're going to use this. They're going to add more legitimacy to the King and Queen of the Ring by giving them like a title shot.
And a great way.
It's going to be a bigger deal now. So I think this is probably a good segue for him to make that transition. So.
I completely.
But we'll
agree.
See. We'll see if we
that
get
closed
surprise
out
in
the
there
show,
somewhere.
though. Yeah, that closed out the show. Overall, I'd say this was an A show. Lots of wrestling, which I love. Even though some of the matches fell a little flat, unfortunately, just due to predictable booking. But at the end of the day, we got wrestling in a wrestling show, and I'm happy. I like that there wasn't very many promos. The promos that there were, they weren't very long. They weren't very drawn out, so I really enjoyed it, and it was just the right amount. I'm continuing to love the different camera angles and the following behind the curtains and all that good stuff, and I love seeing that all. So I think that's great.
Yeah, no, I do as well. I thought it was I'd give it an A as well, just based off of wrestling. Quality of the matches wasn't always there, but when you give me more wrestling than promos, I'll give it an A.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to. And that leads us into SmackDown, which was just more of the same. No, it's continuation of running this wild gauntlet of King of the Ring, just trying to fill out the card. But before we get to all that, Cody Rhodes opened the show, coming off his victory over AJ Styles at Backlash. Obviously, great. You mentioned the crowd was great in Lyon, France. Excellent main event. Those two are always great. AJ Styles is fantastic, who would be competing in the main event later tonight against Randy Orton in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. So that's the main event. But Cody came out, and then Nick Aldis came out and said that we've got your next opponent determined already, and Logan Paul's music hit. And this was, the thing that I hated the most, absolutely, about this show. It made zero sense to me because at first I thought it was a joke. I was like, they're just kidding. And then no, Logan Paul actually came down, and sadly it is not a joke. And you're going to see Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes.
Hold up.
However,
I think this may be silver lining because it sounds like it's going to be title for title.
It does.
So if
but
Cody
it
wins,
doesn't, 'cause
he'll
that's what I'm
take that
trying to
U.S.
figure
title
out.
off of Logan Paul. But they never confirmed it. I think they're
They never
trying to get
confirmed
the.
it. Yeah.
I think they're trying to get the title off of Logan Paul, and I think he's not wanting to play ball. Whoops. I think he's not wanting to play ball, and I think that's the problem because I think he likes being the U.S. champion because it helps his brand and all that crap. But
Yeah.
I feel like the way Cody was wording it, it sounds like it's going to be title for
Well, yeah,
title,
he's
and
like, I'm
obviously
going to be a
Cody's
Grand
not
Slam
losing.
champion.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, okay, when he said that, but then like on all the promos afterwards, they just said for the WWE Universal Championship. And they never mentioned it was for title versus title after that. And I was like, thinking about it, I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, yeah, no, he did say that. Like, why is it that everyone's ignoring the fact that Cody alluded to, well, I can be a Grand Slam champion. This is the only, I
Yeah.
haven't won the U.S. title.
I hope
And
they do. I hope they do. So hope they
I'm
do.
betting they like. I'm betting they. So and also, how is it that Logan Paul deserves? He's had 2 title defenses of the U.S. Championship, and he hardly wrestles. During Gunther's record-breaking IC title reign, how many times did he challenge for a world
Constantly.
title?
Oh,
Constantly.
world title? No, none. No, I thought you
World
meant
title,
defended.
yeah.
I was like
How many
defended
times did
constantly.
how many times did somebody go, you know what, Gunther, you're the number 1 contender because you're so damn good?
Well, because his name's
Never.
Logan Paul. That's why.
Well, and this is where I'm
unfortunately.
like, and on commentary, they're trying to talk him up. They're trying to say, hey, you know, he really is qualified. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, this is ridiculous to me. But they made that. I really sincerely hope it would be to take the title off of him, but I am betting it won't be. I'm betting they're going to go into it, and it's going to be, they may do the official announcement and say it's title versus title, and then the match will end in a DQ, and no titles will change hands. And it's going to be like, wah, wah, and it's going to suck. And that's what I'm almost looking forward to, just so I can watch the crowd just boo everybody out of the building.
Yeah.
And it might not happen since that one will be in Saudi Arabia. They may just go along with it. But
Maybe.
I was just not happy about this. And
I
it set up
wasn't.
the fact that the 3 matches that have been announced, I hate all of them. So it's this one. It's Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan, which I think is silly to do it now, and it's the triple threat for the IC title. Those are the 3 announced matches now for the King and Queen of the Ring, and I am not looking forward to any of those matches. All 3 of them. I'm gonna stop there because I'm getting mad. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
we know. First of all, we know Cody's not going to lose. So especially to Logan
he's not
Paul.
gonna lose.
Cody won't. He's not going to drop the title. So whether it's just a matter of whether Logan's going to drop it or not, but it is what it is at this point. I guess we just got to accept that. Now, as far as the other matches, I guess we can break that down for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Well,
I'm not 100% happy with the way they've been trying to book stuff lately. I'm not a fan of the triple threat. I'm not a fan of just not giving Liv the title in the first place. I already went on that rant, but
Yeah, it's,
I don't know.
I
don't know.
don't.
I think
I love the new era, and yes,
I do.
before everyone gets mad in the comments,
Yeah.
Paul Levesque's doing a great job. It's the Paul
He
Levesque
is.
era, and they do a lot of really good stuff. I just don't know where they're going with some of this. Some of this booking doesn't make a ton of sense to me, and maybe it's all
Yeah.
part of the master plan. It'll be great, and we'll hear about
maybe
it
in
later,
the greater
but
scheme of
I don't
things.
feel it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's hoping Bo Dallas returns and kidnaps Logan Paul.
There you go. Uncle Howdy pops up in the main event and just kidnaps him and disappears, and the Prime logo's
Big.
gone from the canvas. That'd be great. I don't know if that'll happen, but here's hoping.
The Prime bottle ends up
anyway.
being Eric Rowan. And he
know, right?
grabs it. Yes.
That would be pretty good. Next up was Naomi versus Nia Jax, Queen of the Ring tournament. So we kept going through the gauntlet. This is what ended up happening, and this again was somewhat predictable. You knew Nia Jax was going to beat Naomi. That was just pretty obvious. Naomi did have a couple of good moments, including she had this big Hurricane Rana from the top turnbuckle off of Nia, which looked great. But Nia, of course, hits the Annihilator for the win, advances. Pretty much what we expected. Any thoughts on this one, Big D?
Very fundamental, very predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, only
They
because
only had
you
2
knew-
hours on SmackDown to try to
Well,
run
not
through all
just
these
that.
matches. So
Not just that,
they were
like-
gotta get through it.
I am happy with this outcome. Not because I don't like Naomi. I love Naomi. I think she's great. But because we get what I was wanting from the beginning. When I saw the bracket and I said, whoever, well, we could talk about that part later about Jade Cargill coming up.
Yeah.
You knew that was coming. You knew it, so I was cool.
It
with it, 'cause I'm
was,
like, you know
and
what?
that was the only
Yeah,
saving grace when we got to the end of this. I was like, oh man, next we're getting Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax, and I'm like, that'll be fun.
that'll be a great match. So,
But yeah, that was a little bit
so
later. Before we got to that one, we got Baron Corbin versus Carmelo Hayes, and that was they did a little promo like teasers. This is Baron Corbin's like official return back to SmackDown. This was a good match. It was solid. I mean, Corbin's good. Carmelo Hayes looks great. They both have great chemistry together. It was again somewhat predictable. I didn't expect Carmelo Hayes was going to lose to Baron Corbin, especially the way that they introduced him and had him, go toe to toe with Cody Rhodes.
Well, yeah, the match that he had with Cody last week, like, he was
going to lose. I mean, there was just no way. Like, it was pretty obvious that he was going to advance. But this one was a lot of fun. It's nice to see Baron Corbin back on SmackDown again.
I love it.
He looks good. Hoping they'll do something with him and not just make him jobbing out to people. That'd be cool. But we'll see. This one was solid. It was good, but again, expected.
I agree. I mean, I honestly, like you said, just pretty run of the mill. I'm happy to see Baron Corbin back. I'm not, I've been a fan of Baron Corbin actually. I like him as a heel. I hate the Happy Corbin thing, so please don't bring that back. I think the way he is right now is just fine. Their chemistry together is mainly thanks to his time in NXT, most definitely, and I think that it's showing. And I'm very glad to see that. It's a shame that him and Braun Breaker had to break up their tag teams. I thought their tag team was awesome. It was amazing in NXT. It was comical. It was funny. It was great. It was perfect. But it's all good. I think Baron Corbin's back and he's going to start. I think I would like to see the Lone Wolf Baron Corbin come back again and make another run, maybe for the United States title, maybe for a different title. I don't see him as a heavyweight title contender, more of a mid card. But I want him to, at least have that run for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we'll see what they end up doing with him. But here Carmelo advances, and then next up with Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven, this one again pretty predictable. You knew Jade Cargill was not going to lose to Piper Niven, although and first off I'll say Jade was coming off of a pretty sloppy. I didn't think it was that bad, but it was a sloppy outing at Backlash in the tag team.
It was.
Championship match had problems. It had some problems.
It wasn't terrible.
A lot of heat for it.
Yeah,
it wasn't terrible. It wasn't as bad as people are making it out to be. But there was some missed spots and there was some awkward moments and some issues with the ref not keeping track of who was legal person, who was not. So there was some confusion there. But I thought this match was a huge improvement.
It was
in terms of
it was a more impressive match for sure.
More impressive. It looked a lot cleaner. This was more competitive. This is like the first time you really saw Jade actually getting beat up by somebody, where Jade was selling a lot for Piper. She looked vulnerable for the first time. And then as the match went on, obviously, of course, Jade advanced. She did manage to hit a Blue Thunder Bomb on Piper, which is pretty impressive just from the size of being able to get her up and do that. And then she did actually hit her with the Jaded. She held her up for like a fraction of a second. It wasn't for a long time, but she did manage to hit it.
No, but she still hit it. Yeah.
She still hit it, and it was very impressive. So this was a big improvement, I think, from coming off of what happened at Backlash. But I liked this match. I enjoyed it very much. Obviously, Jade was going to get the win, but it was nice to see some different elements. She didn't just go through and steamroll and do like the super heel thing. And this sets up Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill in the tournament. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Jade's going to win against Nia. I think that's going to be a given. But back to this match, I think her improvement is. I initially had issues with her being paired up with Bianca Belair because I'd much rather see them face each other. However, I was listening to, and I'll give credit where credit's due. I was listening to Busted Open Radio, and I want to say Bubba Ray or Bully Ray was making a valid point in that they paired her with someone like Bianca because Jade Cargill doesn't really know how to be a face and how to handle these type of matches, because it is different going from AEW. Not downplaying AEW by any means. I love watching AEW as well, but it is a bit different in WWE as far as the match setups and the way the matches are ran and the way that they're ran through, right? And I think she needed somebody to kind of mentor her, and I think I agree with that's why they put Bianca Belair with her, because she's learning off of her, and you see it. You see her confidence grow constantly and consistently, and this is proving. This is proving it right here. I mean, she had a good match, a good competitive match against Piper Niven that didn't look one sided either way. It actually looked at some points where you thought, oh wow, like Piper might be able to put her away. And Piper Niven, I think people underestimate, is a great in ring competitor. Before she went to WWE, she was champion in her own right. Like, she is a great wrestler. I feel people don't know that, and they should look her up because she is a great wrestler. So I think this was a good pairing, and I was very happy to see that. And Jade looked a lot better. And the only note I will say, and I thought this was funny, is I guess maybe Fox isn't a fan of how she does her pins after she hits the Jaded, because they kind of blur it. They blur the screen, and I'm like, why?
The screen got blurred a bunch of times during this show.
Yeah,
which I was trying to figure out what was going on here.
The whole match, it was fine until that part.
Well, there was, because they kept counting. I'm like, is something happening? Are they having technical difficulties? Because there was like 5 or 6 different instances where the screen blurred really badly. And
I think it's probably where they had the camera mounted. I think it's probably where they had the camera mounted. It maybe got some shaking motion and stuff. I just thought it was funny that it happened right then and there, and I'm like, Fox.
Right, and they're like,
are we really?
It's like this is happening. We've had some technical difficulties. Just steer into it. There you go. Just
y'all have Family Guy on your network. Come on, you'll be fine.
Well, I mean, it was a good match. I liked it. And then speaking of Bianca Belair, she was up next. They literally like tagged each other out as like Jade was heading Bianca Belair danced out.
Yeah,
nice touch. And Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae. Which, speaking of obvious outcomes, this one was pretty clear. You knew Bianca Belair was going to win, which makes me think: are we going to see Jade versus Bianca in the finals and just break up that tag team now? Possibly. Like that would be interesting if this ends up transpiring that way. But yeah, this one was pretty by the book. If you had Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell was ringside as well. It's like to try to help Candice LeRae a little bit. She was doing the heel thing, jump in and interfere, and then that makes me wonder too. Why didn't Jade just hang out at ringside and support her partner, since she clearly saw Indy Hartwell was gonna? Well, she probably didn't see it at that point, but you can look on the monitors and be like, "Hey, Indy's out there. Let me go out there and help my partner." But she didn't. Belair did fight through a knee injury throughout this matchup, and she eventually hit the KOD for the 1, 2, 3 and advances. And I had noticed through this one, we saw the camera blurring as well. So that was kind of the theme of, we're seeing a lot of camera blurring. But Bianca Belair predictably wins here.
I agree, and I like seeing the Indy Hartwell finally coming over to the dark side of things, right? Doing the knee shot and kind of giving Candice LeRae a shot, really, at beating Bianca Belair, because that was the only time she looked like she was defeatable, right? Like when she was hurt, because she couldn't hit her power moves very very well, and when there was a part where she jumped off the top and she she landed and she hurt her knee. So I think that was good to see that continue, because now you're starting to see the full heel turn happening between the two, which I think is good. I think it was long overdue. I always prefer people as heel, but I think that was good. It was rightfully done. But Bianca's gonna move on, and I'm trying to see, who does she have next, because I feel she may lose that match.
Yeah, I'm not sure who she's got.
I'd have to find the bracket somewhere, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It'll be nice to see, maybe for Queen of the Ring, you have the tag team go at each other in like friendly competition, and then it kind of causes a riff in the relationship. You never know. But it was a good match.
You never know. And then after this, we got a rare backstage promo that's of note, which was Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, and they kind of chatted just long enough to let you know that even though Paul Heyman hasn't heard from Roman, Solo was talking about like the WWE draft like it was the NFL draft a little bit, which I was like, come on, dude, you're already. He's like, because of your stunt with Roman Reigns, we should have gone first, and we went third. That's taking money out of my pocket. You're trying to stop me from feeding my kids, Paul. And I'm like, that's not really how the WWE draft works. I get where you're going with it, but it was that felt a little silly to me.
That on there. Yeah.
I know. And then he goes, you haven't talked to Roman. Well, I have. And Paul's all surprised by this, and he's like, basically, until Roman comes back, I'm in charge, and then you're my wise man. And then he does the whole bring it in, and then he's like,
for the hug,
wise man. And
The hug that
he hugs
Roman
him.
gave. Who did
He's like,
Roman give that hug to? Jay.
yeah. And he's like, well, so I was like, I was waiting for something terrible to happen, but he's just like, come on. And he hugs him and he's like, I love you, wise man. And then like taps his fingers on his back. And I was like, okay, this is a little creepy. And then they needed to do this because they were going to head out and support Tama Tonga and his King of the Ring qualifier. So they all headed out after this. Angelo Dawkins subbing in for Bobby Lashley, who will not be going to Saudi Arabia. And this one was somewhat sloppy at times, at least from my perspective. There were a few moments where I felt like some spots were kind of fumbled and missed. It was a short match. It had plenty of interference from the bloodline. Long story short, Tama Tonga advances. You kind of knew that too. That he was going to advance.
Yeah.
Angelo Dawkins wasn't going to move forward. And this was like the first real singles match that we've seen from Tama Tonga. Obviously, he was in the tag match previously at Backlash, but so there were some rough spots there for me here as well. But it was good. Tama Tonga, I think, is very good. He's got this very kind of brutalistic, fast-paced style that I like. So, but Tama advances. Not much there. It was a pretty short match.
Yeah, it was, and I think it even caught the commentators off guard because I don't think they know what his finisher is.
Yeah.
So when he hit it, they were like, and then before you know it, was over.
Like, oh, and
Yeah. But I will say, going back to the Backlash pay-per-view or Premium Live event, I was so happy to see Tongaloa come out because I had said, I hope his brother comes because now you have, and they hinted to it, you have the Gorillas of Destiny now in WWE. And if y'all don't know who the Gorillas of Destiny are, just look them up in New Japan, Ring of Honor. Amazing tag team between Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. They were champions. They were amazing to work together. They are vicious. They are brutal. And just like you said, their whole offense is very in your face and just very aggressive. So I love it. I think it's going to come out really well. It was his first official singles match, and it was against, it was two tag team guys who worked singles, but Tama Tonga has worked single matches as well. So I think it was just a more of just getting used to one another. Maybe they didn't communicate that well together prior to the match, but it was an okay match. Over before you know it, like you said. Of course, you had the interference, and you had Montez Ford flying all over the place as he should, which was great. But at the end of the day, Tama Tonga moving on to represent the Bloodline in the King of the Ring tournament. I'd be curious to see what they do with that. I mean, time will tell.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And it was funny too. Like, I get why they put Angelo Dawkins instead of Montez Ford here because he was going to lose.
Yeah,
and
they didn't want Montez.
They didn't want to do that to Montez. Yeah, and so I got that. But it would have made more sense for it to be Montez. Yeah. Like, if this were reality, it would have made more sense for Montez.
Yeah,
but it was entertaining. It was fun. And then that led us to main event time: AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. The only one that I felt like was really, hey, where are they going to go with this?
Yeah,
like, there was a little bit of a doubt here. And I was surprised that these two were facing each other in the first round, just because they're two of the higher profile entrants, and you got them facing each other off from the beginning. This one started about 20 minutes left in the show, so there wasn't a huge amount of time left. And then it still had 2 commercial breaks. I was like, we didn't see that much. When I was thinking about it, I was like, huh. Like, I've been really looking forward to seeing this match, and I'm not seeing most of it.
Yeah.
The parts that we saw, I felt like mostly had AJ in control. And he was like targeting Randy Orton's knee. He did that run around the ring and then like plowed him from behind.
That was nice.
All the heel tactics. It looked great. It looked great. It looked really brutal when he did it. And then it went like right to commercial, I think, right after that.
It did.
Orton did end up rallying as we got closer to the end of the match. And that final sequence had AJ Styles trying to hit the Styles clash, and Orton countered it into an RKO. And then he picked up the win. So Randy Orton did advance. And then it just like, show ended really fast. It was like, we're out of time.
Yeah.
They ran out of time. Show's over. So cool. I was glad to see Randy Orton advance. I don't know, though. So Orton advances. I do feel like Gunther is the eventual winner of this. Who's getting Orton out? Or is Randy Orton going to win? Is this like his final championship run here?
Let me see if I can figure this out, because I think let me see here. Let me see. I think I have
But
an
match was,
idea.
for what I saw, match was really
Match
good.
of the night. Oh, yeah.
This is probably match of the night for me. But just we didn't see that much of it. Like, and it did. The whole thing felt rushed because they were just trying to fit in too many matches.
Yeah. So okay. So for the men's tournament, we still have to see Kofi and Mysterio, and then Ilya
Well, that's going to happen.
Dragunov.
Is that
That's
Kofi and
coming
Mysterio
on
is going to happen at the house show, right?
Yeah, at the house show this weekend. It's happening now.
And
Actually.
then and LA Knight versus Santos Escobar is going to happen at a
Yeah.
house show too, right? Which
Yeah,
I was like,
so-
really? Like LA Knight versus Santos Escobar is going to be on the house show?
Yeah.
Like that's a bummer for me.
Now,
But
for Raw, we are going to see Ilya Dragunov and Jey Uso. That should be very interesting. The winner of Kofi and Ray, they're going to lose to Gunther. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah,
That's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Corbin and Hayes, so Hayes moved on, Orton moved on. Either either Randy Orton's going to give it to Carmelo Hayes, or the winner of LA Knight Escobar versus Tonga is going to lose to Tama Tonga because of Bloodline. And that's how you're going to get Randy Orton out.
which means
You're gonna
LA
rehash-
Knight's going to advance and LA Knight's going to lose.
Yeah, pretty much. Might as well
They
let
love
Santos.
doing that to LA Knight.
Yeah.
He's going to go
But
get beat
I
by
think
the
if
Bloodline.
anybody gets Randy Orton out, it's going to be the Bloodline because he has that
Yeah.
long-standing beef with them. It's going to rehash it. So I think that's where that's going to happen. And then you're going to have Tama Tonga versus Gunther. And that's where Gunther's going to take that because that makes more sense to see that win.
Yeah.
As far as the women's goes, let me pull that one up real quick.
Yeah, and it was, but yeah, while you're pulling that up, SmackDown, good show. I give it an A. And, you know,
Yeah.
it does feel so much like they forgot. Oh no, we've got King of the Ring. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give it an A because they announced Logan Paul. I'm going to give it a C because Logan Paul's fighting for the WWE title. So that it gets a C, maybe a D. It might be the worst SmackDown ever. But the
worst
wrestling
ever.
was good. Worst SmackDown ever.
So we're pretty much. Where are you? I can't get a good quality one here, but I have a feeling Jade Cargill is going to win the Queen of the Ring. I feel it's fitting. She's going to be the one to win that. But who does she have to defeat to get
Well,
there?
she's got to beat Nia Jax, but yeah, I'm trying to think of who else in the brackets. I mean, she seems like the obvious one. If she didn't
She really
win the
does.
Queen of the Ring tournament, that would be wild to me. And because there's no Liv Morgan in it, because I thought my original thought was that Liv Morgan was going to be Queen of the Ring, and they were going to use this to build over the summer and have a final showdown with Becky Lynch. But apparently none of that's happening. They're just like, oh yeah, you're fighting Becky in 2 weeks, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, so
Sure.
that goes out. The window. And I'm like, okie dokie. So yeah, Jade Cargill I think makes the most sense out
There
of
we go.
anybody here.
Okay.
And then do
So you
Jade
have
Cargill
Jade-
versus Bianca Belair in the final.
So you're going to have Nia Jax versus Jade, which Jade's going to win and move on. And then for SmackDown, you also have a house show going on right now where Tiffany Stratton and Michin are going to face each other. I think Stratton's going to win, and she's going to beat Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
So you have Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton battle it out for the SmackDown
For the
side.
Queen of the Ring.
Yeah, for the SmackDown side. And then for the Queen of the Ring, for the Raw side, right now you're going to have... Where did it just go? I just had it right now. There it is, the Raw. You have Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega coming up. The winner of that match is going to go up against Io Sky, which will more than likely mean Io Sky is going to take that. And then Valkyria and Stark. Valkyria is going to win. And then you'll have Io Sky versus Valkyria. And then the winner of that one's going to get fed to Jade Cargill. So Jade Cargill could be Queen of the Ring.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
very well could be. Those are the predictions right there. So I'm going to say, yeah, I agree. Gunther for the men, Jade for the women. It'll be the
Makes sense.
easy.
If
peasy
not Gunther,
one.
then it'd have to be Tama Tonga. But I think it's too soon.
Yeah,
So that's
too
why I'm
early.
saying
It's
Gunther.
got to be too early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but we'll see.
Stranger
But yeah,
stuff
that's
has
how I felt about SmackDown. For you, what grade did you give SmackDown?
that one I did give that one an A as well, just because I really enjoyed the Randy Orton AJ Styles. I like the unpredictability of that match. Even the spots where Randy got hurt, I honestly, at some point, I did think that AJ was going to come away with it just because of he wants it bad. And then I also really enjoyed Jade's development and her progression. So I think that also played into the show as well. And then of course, just seeing like the younger talent come in, like you saw Carmelo Hayes come through and do his thing, and then I mean, I just enjoyed it. Tamatonga coming back in and making his singles debut, which I thought was great to watch. So, yeah, I was entertained. I hate Logan Paul. I don't like that they're gonna plug him in like that. That's my only gripe. I don't like it, but it is what it is at this point. He's probably the only one willing to travel to face Cody. That's in that bracket, I guess, that tier. So
Yeah.
is what it is.
Is what it is. But yeah, another Raw and SmackDown in the books, and this will be a fast and furious over the next couple of weeks, getting everything lined up for King of the Ring. So looking forward, King and Queen of the Ring, excuse me. Looking forward to that. King and Queen. Got to make sure we enunciate.
All I know is that them crowns better look immaculate being in Saudi. They better look
they better
amazing.
Look incredible. I like Baron Corbin's
I did the black one,
King crown.
I thought that was
cool. Cool.
That was
pretty dope looking. But we'll see what they end up having. Hopefully, it won't look like the Burger King crown. I'm sure it'll look pretty nice. They'll figure something out. But yeah, that's it for Raw and SmackDown this week, everybody. Glad to have you back, Big D. Looking forward to next week as we continue to work through the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please follow us. Follow us and subscribe on YouTube. You can check us out on our various Instagrams as well, but appreciate all the support, everyone, as always. And that's what we got for this week. So until next time, have yourselves a great rest of your week, and we'll see you later on the recap. Have a good one.
Bye.